everybody, this is Roy Canday, and today I'm going to be taking a look at two different Marvel Legendary expansions. This is Marvel Legendary 2099 and Marvel Legendary Ant-Man, Ant-Man Wasp, and Ant-Man Quantumania. All of the different movie stuff as well. Let's take a look at some of these cards. All right, I'm going to do this review at an angle I doubt you've ever seen before, but hey, this is the Legendary 2099, and we'll take a look at the characters for that. Of course, you have Spider-Man 2099, which has a bunch of stuff to help things go undercover, which undercover is where you tuck a card, a hero card, normally from the hero row, into your victory pile, and then it's going to be able to trigger things on this cyber mod ability. You're going to check for things in your victory pile. So hey, if I had a red symbol hero in my victory pile, I get to draw a card, which is awesome. There's so many cool ones of those. And then you have Hulk, and Hulk is going to do a lot of stuff, but he's going to be tucking wounds into your victory pile. So that's a lot of fun, and he kind of like allows you to do different combos off of that. But this card is like, hey, you get +1 for each cyber mod wound. If you have 4 wounds in there, you get another +2. So really cool stuff there with him tucking those wounds into there. And then here we have Ravage, and they are going to look at the top card of your deck. If you get attack equal to that card's cost, discard it or put it back on top. So hey, if you have some really high attack cards, then you could basically trigger this and make it even better. And then one of my favorites here was the Doctor Doom. I just love the art on all of these, by the way. He has a lot more of the undercover, and he does a lot of cyber mod with the little like electrical like symbol there. It's like cyber mod, get +1 attack. If you have 3 in there, you get +3 attack, and that all is based off of having those symbols in your thing there. And I'm not going through all the cards because, you know, you guys can discover a lot of these on your own. But also, there is Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has a lot of stuff as well that'll trigger off of having cyber mod for like the tech symbol. So it's like, oh, cyber mod, you get extra recruitment, and then if you have 2 of them, you get to draw a card. Anything that lets you draw a card, I love so much. And then one of the things I want to talk about is the new Mastermind Tactics. We have the Sinister Six here, which each time you take out one of these Mastermind Tactics, you're going to defeat them, basically doing whatever they say. With their Master Strike is each going to be different on each one, so the Master Strike can change. And then also, you will be able to, whenever you fight them, it adapts, so it switches out to a different one that you have to fight, and after you beat all of them, they can also flip over as well. That's another thing you have. If you want to play for the epic version of the game, you can play with them for epic masterminds, which is really cool as well. And then we do have the Alchemex executives here that you can face off against. So these guys are kind of mean also. So basically, they're always going to lead their guys. And then you can add an extra hero to the hero deck. And then as a Master Strike, this guy particularly is going to be put the highest cost hero from the HQ in the escape pile, which of course any escape piles, the cyber mods work the same way for all of the villains and masterminds as well, but it's for the escape pile instead of the victory pile. The escape pile is kind of treated as the villain's victory pile, but you have a bunch of different characters there from that team also that you face off against as a mastermind, so it's always switching up. So that's cool. And then you also get the Asgard. So these are like futuristic Asgard, which is cool to see. Loki and Thor and Helena. And then you have the villain enforcers here as well. And they are going to be doing a bunch of the same sort of stuff. You fight off against them. Some of them are going to have the cyber mod stuff as well. So they're going to be basically forcing you to... they'll do meaner things if a bunch of heroes have escaped, you know? So like this one particularly is like, it gets +3 strength if there are... any red heroes in there that have escaped, and then if there are yellow heroes that have escaped, it gets 1 strength. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to allow that to happen. And of course you have all of your schemes, which of course having new schemes in the game is great as well, so you can throw them in there to be able to do that. So that is all the stuff for Legendary 2099. All right, next let's talk about everything from Ant-Man. This is Ant-Man, Wasp, and Quantumania, so the entire Ant-Man trilogy. Of course you have Scott Lang, which of course is good at heisting. Heisting is basically when you're basically going to play out as many cards as you have that are not your standard cards. And when you have them, you're going to flip over the top card of the villain deck. So say maybe this card came up. Let's do a random villain. This card came up. whatever their victory points are, you're going to basically be going to try to have more characters that are not zero cost characters than that. So if I had played 2 out, then this flipped up, then I would be able to complete my heist. So sometimes cards will say, heist, you get this extra thing if you succeeded, or heist, you get extra 1 attack. Just a bunch of different things that are going to have to do with heist. Scott Lang is very much going to be doing a bunch of the heist action, so you want to be playing out as many cards as you can, then flipping it over. I feel like once you get your deck rolling, you can trigger heist very easily. And then we don't just have Scott Lang, we also have Scott Lang again as Ant-Man. So he's Giant Man, and then, I have an Ant Army card in here. But hey, we have Ant-Man, a bunch of them, Bug Swarms and things like that. This microscopic size changing, this card costs 5. But if you play a green card, it would cost 2 less. If you play a second green card, it would cost 2 more less. So it only costs 1 if you played 2 green cards. If you played 3 green cards, this would be free to purchase. So basically, the size changing makes the cost to recruit the card even cheaper, which is pretty cool. And then you have a ton of cards that are going to kind of go off of that, and then a ton of cards that are going to say, hey, like I really enjoyed this Ant-Man card that's like, hey, reveal the top card of your deck. If it does have green or size changing, you get to draw it. So a lot of things that let you draw if you have size changing and stuff like that. Another one that I thought was hilarious is that you have just the Army of the Ants. So this is going to do a bunch of stuff with microscopic size changing and basically changing the price on things and making them stronger if you've played things like that. The villains can also have some size changing stuff on them as well, if I could find the correct ones. And when you do that, if you've played those cards, they're going to be less expensive to fight. So playing the correct color cards makes it easier to fight stuff off. But yeah, there is that. And then another cool thing is there is a brand new type of card. It might have been in another set, but it's not in a set that I have played. These are ambush schemes. These are shuffled in with whatever villain group you have. And basically when they come out, they're going to be a second scheme that you have. And you're going to basically have, it'll come out when there's an ambush, and then also it'll have its own twists. So whenever the scheme twists come out, those are going to trigger. And it's also going to have special rules on a way to get rid of that so it no longer triggers when scheme twists come out. So it's cool. This is a kind of a little cool mix-up to add into each of these villain sets because each of them come with that. But then you have your masterminds that you face off against. One of the cool things in this one is that you have the transforming mastermind. They can transform back and forth. And you have the 4 cards here that you're going to be taking out for them as well. So let's take a look here at Ghost. Ghost gets +1 attack for each different cost among her kidnapped victims. She's going to be kidnapping people. While this sits face up in your recruit cards from her kidnap thing, so you can still recruit them, but you have to spend 2 extra to recruit those characters, which are going to make it so her strength goes down, which is great. And then she always leads the Ghost Chasers. And then Master Strike. Each player reveals a yellow card. Hero discards 2 cards with a recruitment icon, and then she transforms. And then she'll have different abilities on the other side. You can't fight her unless you made at least 6 recruitment this turn. So she's really easy to beat, but you have to also have recruitment. So lots of cool stuff there for Ghost. And then one of the ones that we had a lot of fun playing, it was definitely a chore in some ways because he's so crazy, but Kang the Conqueror has this new ability of Conqueror. He basically, whatever the number is there, like Rooftop Conqueror 3. So if there's a villain in the rooftops, he gets +3 strength. If there's a villain in the streets, he gets +3 strength. If there's a villain in the bridge, he gets +3 strength. And then he also is going to be taking characters into the multiverse, and then he has Multiverse Conqueror 8. So if you don't defeat all of the villains out of the multiverse, he's going to have +8 to that 10. So he can be really strong, but you just have to mitigate fighting off all of the other villains there. And of course, he has all of his tactics that are going to trigger when you fight him. One thing that I do like is that this set comes with 3 different henchmen. Henchmen are always good because you see so many henchmen when you play the game. This one says, choose either recruitment or fight, then explore. So explore is where you take a card from the hero row, you shuffle it, you put it underneath the deck, and then you draw the top 2 cards. And this says if you chose the chosen type, you get to KO one of your heroes. So you're going to be able to kind of like prime the hero row and also be able to KO characters out of your deck, and only costs 3. Not too bad there for these little Quantum Hound henchman villains that you can face off against. And there's also other things like the Quantum Knots here. They have Conquer on the rooftops 1, so they're going to be extra strength there. If they're and these are if any villain is there. So if there's any bad guys on the rooftops or any bad guys on the streets, they're going to be stronger. So this guy could be a 4, but if you knock them out, you get to KO one of your heroes, which is always great. But yeah, so you have tons and tons of different stuff. Of course, you have one of the things that's crazy here is from Quantumania. One of the heroes you can actually play with is the Freedom Fighters. So they're the different characters here. I just find it funny. They do have the holes guy in here, which has kind of like a little bit of hilarious text. Reveal the top card of your deck if that card has any holes printed inside of its cost, which is a 0, a 4, a 6, an 8, or a 9. Draw it. You may draw a KO card if you drew a card this way. You may KO a card drew this way if you play a yellow first. So that's kind of hilarious because he's looking for the holes, which was one of the funniest parts of that movie, I thought, overall. Of course, they just have cool things, like some of the heroes have street conquerors. Like, so if there's a villain in the streets, this guy actually is a little bit stronger, and he lets you draw a card. Super awesome. But yeah, so you do have your Wasp and things like that as well, and Wasp is going to be doing a lot of the same, like microscopic size changing and things like that, and doing all the different size changing shenanigans, and allowing you to, for each card, you get +1 attack for each other card you have with a plus symbol on its fight icon. So if you have a bunch of cards that have plus symbols on its fight icon, which I'm guessing she has a decent amount of, you can boost all of those up. Man, that's a great card. I wish I would have gotten that in my game. Joey probably had all of them. But yeah, so lots of cool stuff in there. Lots of interesting aspects to upgrade your game with all of the Wasp stuff. But yeah, and there's a couple more bystanders as well. One that makes you do a magic trick or whatever when you actually rescue him, which is hilarious. Anyway, that is Ant-Man and Wasp. Okay, for me, I love Marvel Legendary. I have tons and tons of sets of Marvel Legendary. It's just cool to have new, fresh stuff to put in your game. There could be a little bit of fatigue at this point because there's been so much Legendary for so long, but it is still cool to see some of the new characters. With 2099, I really enjoyed being able to play through the different stuff. I really enjoyed playing with Ghost Rider and playing with Doctor Doom, and it's just cool to see all of the different ones out there. And I really do like the whole cyber bio thing where you tuck stuff into your victory pile to be able to trigger these abilities. You feel like you're kind of like building up or setting up for future combos, and combos for stuff that you don't even have to necessarily have in your hand. I played it solo and had a massive amount of fun with it, which is cool, like beating up on the Sinister Six. And I also really enjoy the fact that it has these masterminds now that each one is a tactic, and you might have more tactics than just the 4, but you're going to be fighting a different boss as you go through all the different tactics. That's another really cool thing from 2099. And then Marvel Legendary Ant-Man, this is one of the versions that has all the stills and everything in it. So if you are a fan, like you have the cinematic universe stuff, or you don't, you already know what you're going to be getting with movie stills. I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of movie stills in my game. I feel like sometimes you can make it look a little bit better, but like the graphic design and just the way, the composure on the card itself doesn't do it for me. But mechanically, I also think that there's a lot going on with this. There's a lot of like explore mechanics where you're taking guys out of HQ and chucking them underneath the deck and drawing 2 cards and choosing one of those to put into play, and stuff that triggers off of that. There's all of the Quantumania where it makes cards cheaper. So a lot of the cards are really expensive at first, but then as you get a couple of the cheaper ones, you can end up making them cheaper as they go along. Allows so that triggers off of having a lot of those shrinking abilities and things like that. And this is a ton of content in here. There is 200 cards in this one and 100 cards in this one. So there's a huge difference in the amount of content you get. But I do find that overall all the stuff in Ant-Man is a little bit more confusing with all the keywords. Once you get it down, it's not too bad, but it is a bit tedious of being like, okay, we do this and flip this thing over and change this thing out and do this thing over here, and now, okay, I'm good. But that is a bit how Legendary can be like later in the game anyway, where there's a lot of combos and things going off. I did like that a lot of the characters in Ant-Man had stuff that allowed you to draw, if it was drawing based off what you drew and saw on the thing, or just cards that allow you to draw. I love drawing in any heroes or any decks. It is interesting to me, too, that they have Ant-Man and Scott Lang, and they have Wasp and Wasp's like actual character. They have all these like 2 of the same thing. I do like that you're able to face off against Kang and things like that, and he has a whole area where you have to like he's like the conqueror of these different areas and you have to kind of like thin that out. There's a lot of cool heroes and villains in here, but overall, I feel like it's a bit more complex and convoluted for what I want. So I'm going to actually be giving this one a 6. I do still like Legendary. I still feel like it's really enjoyable, and I do feel like there's a ton of content in here. I will also note that the card backs, and I don't know if it's just me, I've been playing with the What If and the regular sets. I don't know if the new printings of stuff is different, but the card backs on both of these don't match the card backs for the regular game. So it made it kind of awkward when things say, oh, reveal the top card and do this. And I knew for a fact that that top card wasn't going to match because I knew it was one of the basic cards in my deck. But for Legendary 2099, I really love this expansion. I think it's a lot of fun. I really love the art. It's the exact opposite of this. I love the art on this one. I don't like the movie stills on this one. So like this is just gonna automatically like make me enjoy the game more because I'm playing through, seeing all the cool art from all the different characters. It's very stylized and nice, like drawn art. And I really enjoy the characters and the way it works. I feel like a lot of the abilities are a lot more intuitive and easier to like jump into. So I'm actually going to be extremely recommending this. I'm going to be giving this an 8. I really enjoyed 2099, and this one's going to be going to my collection. This one will not be making it, but yeah, if you're interested in either of these, a lot of the mechanics are really fun, being able to try to trigger and figure out all that stuff. That's the main thing you want with Legendary, is just trying out new things and having more heroes to fight against and more people to go up against. I would say if you're new to Legendary, I wouldn't suggest getting the Ant-Man stuff just because I feel like the combos or the keywords are a little bit more complex and there's a lot more. Reading isn't that hard to do or anything like that, but it's just like a lot more tedious to do a lot of those things. But anyway, that is my look at these 2 Legendary expansions. I still have fun with Legendary. It's still a lot of fun. Let me know below what your favorite expansion for Legendary is. Also, let me know if you're excited about the 2nd edition of Legendary coming out. I know I am, and I saw the art for that. That looks really cool as well. Super stoked to be getting that in. And anyway, I've been Roy Canay. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Basel.